Hello my dear students, welcome to computer science class. So in our previous video we had started with the concept that is the generations of computer. So wherein we have already discussed with the first generation, and the first generation they were using the vacuum tubes, and the examples for the first generations were ENIAC, EDVAC and the UNIVAC, isn't it? So in this video, let us start with the second generation. So the second generation computers had come into existence in the year between 1956 to 1963. So the second generation computers, they were using the transistors. So these are the transistors, whereas the first generation computers were using the vacuum tubes. So the second generation computers, they were much faster, they were smaller, cheaper and more reliable comparatively to the first generation computers. And during this generation, they were using the high level languages were being developed, okay, like early versions of COBOL and the Fortran languages. COBOL actually stands for Common Business Oriented Language, and the Fortran actually stands for Formula Translator. So these two were the high level languages that had come into existence during the second generation, and the second generation computers were using this transistors. Because of usage of this second transistors, the size of the computers were almost very small. You can see the size of the computers were almost reduced, okay. They were much cheaper and more reliable in terms of the as comparatively to the first generation computers, okay. Then what are the features of the second generation? Let us discuss. Transistors were being used for the internal operations that made the computers to become smaller in size. So even then, when we were using the transistors, enormous heat amount was being generated. But comparatively the first generation, this second generation where computer systems were manageable. Okay. So and then what they were using for the memory purpose? They were using the magnetic cores for the main memory. Okay. As I have said in the first generation while I was discussing, we need to concentrate here is what device, what electronic device they are using for the computers, and then how they are able to store the memory, what they are using for the input and output purpose, okay, and what kind of programming language they are using. So these were the important factors where we need to concentrate. So in that, so when we are discussing about the second generation, we should know that it is using the transistors for the internal operations for making the computers smaller in size, and what they are using for the memory purpose is they are using the magnetic cores were being used for the main memory purpose, and they are using the punch cards for the input and printouts purpose. They are using the punch cards for the input and printout purpose, and then they were using the magnetic tapes and the disk for the secondary storage devices. So when the second generation computer system had come into existence, they were started using the secondary storage devices like magnetic tapes and the magnetic disks, okay. And then assembly level languages were being used for the developing program. Assembly level languages in the sense they are using the mnemonics, okay. They are using the mnemonics like push. The example I'll give you. See, if I want to add, that is 2 and 3, if I want to add the two numbers 2 and 3, so they were able to write like push 2, second step is push 3, then the third step is add 2 comma 3. So they were using the certain symbols and mnemonics they were using in order to have the programming language which is known as the assembly level language. So later when we were discussing about the software concepts, in brief we will discuss what is machine level language, what is this assembly level language. So as this assembly level language which were using the mnemonics, such kind of programming language were being developed during this second generation. And the overall the second generation computer systems were much powerful, they were more reliable, and they were cheaper and had more memory comparatively to the first generation computers. I hope you are able to understand. So here the second generation computers were using the transistors for the internal operation, and for the memory purpose they were using the magnetic cores were being used for the main memory, and for secondary memory they were using the magnetic tapes and the magnetic disk, and they were using the punch cards for the input and printout purpose, and they were using the assembly level language for the developing programs. And anyway, they were much, obviously they will be much faster, powerful, more reliable comparatively to the first generation. So here also you may get one 5 marks question. Briefly explain the features of the second generation computer system. Okay. Then otherwise 1 marks question, what is the electronic device used in the second generation? Then you have to write the answers as transistor is the electronic device that is used for the second generation computers. Okay. Then moving on to the next one is the third generation. So in this third generation, it appeared in the between the year 1964 to 1971. So wherein we were using the integrated circuits. Integrated circuits, in short, we also call it as ICs. Okay, IC. So a person known as Jack Kilby, he was an engineer who was working with a Texas Instruments company. He actually developed this ICs, that is integrated circuit, which actually replaced the transistors in the third generation. Because of using these ICs, system dramatically increased their speed, their efficiency of the computers were more reliable comparatively to the first and the second generation computers. Okay, an engineer known as Jack Kilby, who was working with the Texas Instruments company, he actually developed this integrated circuits. Now in the third generation, integrated circuits were being mounted on the silicon chips were being used for the internal purpose. These are ICs. Can you see? These are the silicon chips. So these ICs were being integrated circuits were on these silicon chips. These were being used for the internal operations. In the third generation actually, okay, mini computers were being introduced. So this mini computers, okay, were being introduced, and then because mini computers already had come into existence, so what we are using for the input and output purpose, we were using the keyboards and monitors we were being used for the input and output purpose. For input we were using keyboard, and for the output we were using the monitors. Apart from this, what we are using for the storage memory purpose, so then we are using the magnetic hard drives. Again we were using the magnetic hard drives were being used for the storage purpose, and maintenance cost was very low as there were the hardware failures were very rare, or the hardware failures were very negligible. And these systems, the third generation systems, were the general purpose, and they could use for the number of commercial purpose. Then exactly from the third generation onwards, computer had actually they were being using for the commercial purpose, means for the business purpose they were started using. And therefore finally the systems were much faster, they were more powerful, more reliable, cheaper, okay, and they were smaller in size as comparatively to the second generation computer system. So I hope you are able to clearly understand. So here what happens, in the third generation, integrated circuits on silicon chips were being used for the internal operations, whereas in first generation we used vacuum tubes, second generation we use the transistors, in the third generation we are using the ICs. And then mini computers, this is the how mini computer looks like. Mini computers had come into existence where keyboards were being used for the input purpose, monitors were being used for the output purpose, okay, and then magnetic hard drives are being used for the storage purpose, and therefore they were much again powerful, reliable, smaller, cheaper comparatively to the second generation. So this was all about the third generation. Moving on to the next generation, that is the fourth generation. The fourth generation is nothing, this is how again the magnetic hard drive. So moving on to the fourth generation, that is the present generation, that is it started from the 1971 and we are still in the fourth generation. Okay, so in the fourth generation we were using the microprocessor. Okay, we have the micro AMD processors, we have Okay, then Intel i5, Intel i3, Intel i5, Intel i7, Intel Pentium Pro 3. All there are different kinds of microprocessor that had come into existence. But a person known as the Ted Hoff, he actually developed this microprocessor called as an Intel 4004, the first microprocessor which was being developed by the Ted Hoff, okay, which was being called as the Intel 4004. So he was actually working with the IBM company. So this again, IBM company actually introduced the first ever personal computer system in the year of 1981. So in the first fourth generation, they were using the personal computer. Personal computers means our desktop computers or the laptop computers. So the first ever the personal computer was being introduced by the IBM company in the year of 1981. So again, these fourth generation computers, they are much faster, smaller and ever less expensively comparatively to the third generation systems. And because these computers were much powerful, okay, they were able to they could able to communicate with each other. One computer could able to communicate with the another computer, and they were able to form the network which led for the development of the internet. Okay, right from the fourth generation we started having the internet, so that the computers can communicate with each other. That would help the people to transfer the data they can transfer the data over the internet without manually going from one place to the another. Maybe through the emails or maybe through the fax machines, they were able to transfer the data over the internet. Then let us see what were the features of the fourth generation. So the features were thousands of ICs were being built on the single silicon chip. So ICs are what? These are the ICs actually. Okay, these are the ICs. So thousands of ICs were being clubbed. Okay, they were being clubbed and they were clubbed into each. Okay, and they were built upon by using the single silicon chip. That means whatever the thousands of ICs had the capacity, the same capacity, they are being clubbed together and they are being placed under the single silicon chip known as the microprocessor. Then microprocessors and the personal computers were being introduced in this fourth generation, and they were using what they were using for the memory purposes, they were using the chips for the memory. So this is actually the RAM slot, random access memory slot. So these are the memory chips. So they were using the chips for the memory purpose, and obviously for the input and output purpose would be the keyboard and the for the input purpose we had the keyboard and the mouse, and for the output purpose we have the printers, we have the monitors, okay, we had the speakers. And then so they reduced, the cost was very much reduced, and they were obviously portable. That means the systems were movable from one place to another. That is nothing but the portable. And hardware failures were quite negligible, isn't it? Your desktop computers, your laptop, they very rarely they may fail, otherwise they will be working well, fine enough, isn't it? So hardware failures were entirely negligible. And these fourth generation computer systems were they were user friendly. And then as I said, keyboards and mouse were being used for the input purpose, and monitors and the printers were being used for the output purpose. So these were the fourth generation. Currently we are in the fourth generation, where thousands of ICs were being built upon to make a single silicon chip known as the microprocessor. Within this microprocessor, this is the outer look, but the inner look will look like this. So thousands of ICs are integrated, they are clubbed together and made one as the microprocessor. And then personal computers were being introduced in this present generation, and they were using the chips for the memory purpose. So these were all the different features of the fourth generation. So here you can expect one question. One question is that who developed the microprocessor? So the answer is the Ted Hoff. Then which company introduced the first personal computer? IBM company introduced the first personal computer in the year of 1981. Apart from that, again the 5 marks question. Write the features of the fourth generation computer. Okay. Then moving on to the last generation, that is the fifth generation, that may consider to be as present and beyond. Okay. So in the fifth generation, we may use the artificial intelligence. Okay. So let us start. So in this current fifth generation, it will allow the computers to think. Okay, to think, to learn, and to provide the reasons. Now, as now computers cannot think by themselves, they cannot make any kind of decision, they don't have any their own intelligence, they are working, they are performing the calculations, they are performing the task based upon the instructions or the programs given by the programmer or the user. But in the fifth generation, there is a possibility that based upon they might be working upon the artificial intelligence, wherein we may allow the computers to think by itself, we may allow the computers to learn by itself. Then voice and the touch might be the expected as the primary means of the input. Only by the voice recognition the computer may start working for you. Maybe on just by the touch basis the computer may start performing the task that whatever you just command for. Okay, so those might be the means of input. Now let us see the features of the fifth generation. The first feature of the fifth generation is the development of storage technology. Isn't it so many, your laptop will be having certain GB, but still that data is not sufficient for you to store the huge, like you might store the movies, you may store the audio files, video files, documents, all that. You may say, after first few years you may see all your disk are being running out of the memory, so which is not sufficient at all. So then then we may start going for the secondary storage devices. Then it's not that every time you need to go and save the data in the secondary storage. So they are developed in the fifth generation. There will may be huge amount of storage technology. Then development of supercomputers. Development of supercomputers, like the supercomputers are the one, they are the most biggest, most powerful computers in the world, and they are the most expensive computers in the world than comparatively to any of the computers. And they will be usually executing the or processing the instructions in terms of trillions, trillions of instructions are being executed in just in 1 second. So such powerful the supercomputers will be there. So usually these supercomputers will be used in the research development, okay, in government basis, and then like companies like Google and all, where huge amount of data to be stored, so they will be using this kind of supercomputers. Usually normal organizations or schools, colleges, and they will not be going for supercomputers because they are very, very expensive. If I want to store the huge amount of data, okay, then, and very important data, then you can go for the supercomputer. So there will be a lot of development of the supercomputers. Then advancing in networking technology. Networking technology in the means there will be, now we are experiencing 4G internet speed. So maybe in the fifth generation we may start experiencing the 5G, wherein you can just download the movie in just in few seconds or few minutes, maybe within 5 minutes, within 5 minutes you may download the high definition movies. Okay, so downloading and uploading speeds will be very high in case in the fifth generation. Okay, then moving on to the next one is the systems are will be more reliable, faster, and cheaper. Obviously, since it is an advancement of the fourth generation, obviously the systems developed in the fifth generation would be much faster and cheaper, and they will be reliable. That means then there will be less number of system failures. Then the concept of parallel processing in computer would be introduced. That means your processor will be able to execute more than one instruction in a one particular time. Usually the computers will be having capability to execute one instruction at a time, wherein when parallel processing concept will be introduced in the fifth generation, wherein simultaneously it can process more than one instruction. So such processing, a greater processing speed you may expect in the fifth generation. And lastly would be the development of robotics. So even now also in many of the factories and industries, they are using the robots for the fabrication purpose, for the arrangements of the instruments and all. So maybe in the fifth generation we might have many more development of the robotics in order to reduce the human effort. So all these are just the predictions. It might be the features of the fifth generation. So the later fifth generation features might be development of storage technology. They may give the development of supercomputers. Okay, advancement in networking technology. Systems might be more reliable, faster, cheaper. Concept of parallel processing in computers, development of robotics. So all these are the important features. So fifth generation features are very important. 5 marks question they'll be asking. So write the features of the fifth generation. So in among the 5 generation, first, second, third and the fifth generation features are very important, because these are the frequently asked questions to list the features of first, second, third or the fifth generation. Okay students, I hope all the generations of the computers are clear to you. Okay, so in our next video we may continue with the classification of computer. Thank you students, take care of yourself.